necessary for eating this. These have been now we alternative food resources. We already discussed about the alternatives of food resources. Now miscellaneous of planktons in that we discussed earlier in that chlorella, green leaves, and protein concentration. In that nutrition also we discussed briefly in that last class. Again, we'll discuss uh, in that also we are energy yielding foods, cereals, rice, wheat, and ragi, bajra, and supplies more 70% of calories, 50% of B vitamins. Group 2, it is a good source of starch and the fair source of vitamin C. Group 3, rich sources of carbohydrate. Group 4, oils and fats, essential fatty acids, vitamin E and vitamin A, building bodybuilding foods, milk and milk products, fresh foods, proteins and moderate nutritive value, vitamins and minerals. Protective foods, milk and liver, eggs, proteins, calcium, vitamin A, B2 and B12. Protein, vitamin A, B2, and folic acid, and B12, and a few. Group 8. It is greeny leaf vegetables, proteins, vitamin A, calcium, folic acid, vitamin B2, and vitamin C, and fruits and vegetables, fair good source of vitamin C. Next, balanced diet, judicious mix of all essential nutrients like protein, carbohydrates, fats, minerals, vitamins, and waters required by our body. Healthy diet should first of all nutrition related disease. Secondly, should be minimize the risk of diseases associated with our consumptions. Can't be defined of the healthful diet difference from person to persons. Infants and young children and adolescents need nutritional rich diet. Demand for the elderly growing foods and the mainly balanced diet. Balanced diet is necessary for that one. Recommended judiciously essential all nutrients like proteins, carbohydrates, and vitamins, fats, minerals, all required for the balanced diet. Secondly, minimize this is associated with the our consumptions. Ideal diet can't be defined and health diet different from person to person. Infants and young children to adults need nutritional rich diet and meet demands of their growth bodies and elderly require food some to maintain the tissue repair. Recommended daily allowances. Amounts of different nutritional recommended in dietary standards usually exceeded those to be needed for metabolic requirement for extra amount for different margin of safety and tolerance. Difference between foods and regard the availability of nutrients and between the individually regard the efficiency of utilization. So requirement different of age and sex, activity, weight and height and specific group of impairs, pregnancy and lactation and the age and metabolic disorders. National and international organizations of FAO, Food and WHO, MSND, and ICMR in India. Dietary nutrients allowances and which have been summarized in tables. Right, man, and these are the sedimentary work and moderate for nutrient and protein, fat and calcium, iron, vitamin A, B, C, vitamin C, and human sedimentary work and lactation infants and 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, children's 1 to 9 years, boys. Different age groups are there for 10 to 18 years, 10 to 18 years girls, different gender and basically infants and Men and men's are there is a food there, calcium and vitamins. And different types of proteins are there for low cost of balanced diet. In sedimentary cereals in 46 diet and these are the things, leafy vegetables. These are the things and leafy vegetables means leafy vegetables, leafy vegetables, cereals, pulses, pulses and cereals, other rooty vegetables, other vegetables and roots and tubers and fruits and milk and oil and fat, sugar and jaggery. Food habits and food pairs and facilities and knowledge regarding the food habits of man provided by man and disciplines and social scientists and sociologists and psychologists and cultural geographers. Regeneration of following aspects major concern geographic and religious beliefs and traditional beliefs, food pairs and cuts and changing food habits. Geographically, man ate whatever the food he could get. Safety, hunger is soil, climate, water, local agriculture practice, demand. The types of food that is green in the locality. Rice is the main food crop in tropical countries. Rainfall is high and water is available for irrigation. While millets is also cultivated in areas low rainfall. Wheat is the mainly cultivated in temperate regions. Religious beliefs and the religious and some of them not and but this all already discussed and called for many years of vegetarians has been practiced religious grounds of Hindus and Buddhist and vegetarian Jains and strict vegetarian don't have and consume milk and even hence vitamin B12 deficiency changing food habits. The difference between food fat and food fat and fallacy is the fact that some scientist basis of food fat may be compared with the passion which will soon be replaced with some new belief concerning food. Food falling is more integrated may in the beginning of well publicized food. Food fats in faculty and food habits in important in contributing causes for wide prevalence. Malnutrition among preschool children expect and nursing fathers in developing countries. This can be overcome only education and nutrition. So, malnutrition describes the improper nutrition balance in the body. Malnutrition can be problem of inappropriate ingestions, digestion, absorption, metabolism, and excretion of nutrients of a combination of several of these factors. Malnutrition can be result of a nutrient excess as well as a deficiencies factors such as the amount of kind of food available in advocacy of housing, sanitation, and the rate of infections, influence, and kind of malnutrition and the degree of to which it occurs. Whereas when healthy individual habitually eats such a way that nutritional needs are not properly met, typically type of malnutrition he develops primary malnutrition. Primary malnutrition is due to Food choices are inadequate food supply. Malnutrition is the result in faulty body function. Secondary occurs may result in the side effects, certain medication, medical, surgical treatment. Other terms used to describe malnutrition, individual undernutrition, and the overnutrition. Undernutrition applies to an individual who doesn't digest nutrients. Overnutrients applies individual who eats more than food than he needs. Under the nutrition and diseases, remedial measures. Right, two other terms are used to describe the malnutrition, individual undernutrition, and the nutrition undernutrition applies to individual who does not ingest inadequate supply nutrients. Overnutrition applies to the individual who eats more food than needs. Undernutrition, diseases, and remedial measures. Proteins, energy, malnutrition. Protein energy malnutrition is probably the most serious nutritional problem in the world. When infants and young children in the developing nations suffer from this lack of protein calories, energy malnutrition occurs primarily in children under 5 years. When children are deprived food and suffer energy deficient, degrade their own body proteins, their energy thus deficiency suffer protein deficiency as well as energy efficiency. Classic energy deficiency diseases is marasmus and protein deficiency diseases is Kawashikar. Vashikar, marasmus, Vashikar it is mainly depends on because of protein deficiency and marasmus protein and calories deficiency. Due to loss of protein deficiency, like marasmus child looks like a visit little old person in bones and he is often because of situation disorder unwanted including his heart and muscle heart is weak, growth failures and low body. These are the things we'll discuss in detail, Kavashikar and marasmus. These are the malnutrition diseases. And growth and failure and low body weight, severe wasting of muscles and subcutaneous fat and dry and autotrophic skin. The fans severely hungry, but few are, sick, birth influences are best feeding, early abrupt weaning, dilute dairy formula, repeating infections, especially gastroenteritis, starvation therapy, nutritional marasmus. The for diet and acute infection, kwashiorkor, marasmus, kwashiorkor, prevention and treatment. Right, prevention and treatment provide child sufficient energy, foods, and good source of protein and milk. And seriously sick tolerant milk. Right, given eggs and meat products, and milk prevention treatment. Prevention and treatment of milk, meat, and products. So, good for recovery, alternative vegetable protein pulses and groundnut patients and many recovery well adhered normal infant 0 to seriously ill and ingestive impairment 1 kg per kg per sufficient initiate cure and though longer amounts are necessary for the full recovery. No age is immune and but is older person disease much less frequent and clinical manifestation not only so obvious usually less severe because of both protein and calories requirement relatively less reduced as it advances. Vitamin deficiencies and preventions. Vitamin A deficiency continues significant health problem. Developing countries, vitamin A is essential for functioning and mucous membrane is found in epithelial tissues. Like tear glands, respiratory glands, intestinal tracts deficiency, mucus secretion decreasing, lack of vitamin A diet in observed in arms and thighs as deficiency of prolonged skin becomes a hernia and keratinization. Earliest symptom is the dryness of conjunctivitis, lack of sufficient amounts of vitamin A. Right, keratomalacia, and which may result in blindness, is found in following cholesterol and diet. Follicular keratosis is another condition. Vitamin A deficiency, severe deficiency of vitamin A associated with protein energy malnutrition. Next, right, vitamin A deficiency, human associated protein energy malnutrition and infections. Nutrition and deficiency, humans often associate protein energy malnutrition, infections, the immune system, and deficiency, massive doses, vitamin A supplementations, and more body. The children's, most of the children in corneal gyrophthalmia, also other conditions such as severe proteins, allergy, malnutrition, measles and diarrhea, respiratory illness, and a variety of other infections also independently contributed to high mortality. Severe gyrophthalmia evidenced in by night blindness and the conjunctivitis. It has been suggested that even xerophthalmia may increasing the risk of mortality. Vitamin A deficiency then largely from poorer sections, families subject to more severe socioeconomic dietary constraints, and they are more likely to encounter the multiplicity of threats and survival of them. Advocate vitamin A status, thus importance of vitamin A child health programs and prevention of blindness and sufficient reasons of strengthening ongoing vitamin A supplementation program combination of the services and milder deficiency symptoms can be easily cured Serious deficiency prevented by the regular consumption of leafy vegetable and other carotene-rich vegetables. Yellow pumpkins and papaya, mangoes and enormous rich source of vitamin A, milk and egg liver and children, pregnant women and special groups of gluten. Attention and prevention of vitamin A deficiency, vitamin B, formerly widespread diseases oriented caused by the eating diets. Highly polished middle rice diseases frequently infection, heart, physical labor, and pregnancy, lactation, clinical features usually suggest that disorders. Though thiamine produces predominant clinical changes, prolonged deficiency thiamine, vitamin B1, diet in a main factor leading to the diseases beriberi, which is the main manifest of three forms. Dry beriberi, there is a loss of appetite and numbness and legs and hands and dropping of the feet and wet beriberi, there is a dropsy, precipitation and breathlessness and heart muscle leading to infantile beriberi. Thiamine therapy produces predominant clinical changes in the conditions with moderate deficiency types. Loss of appetite, vomiting, constipations, mental depression, vertigo, fairs, and more severe deficiency, soreness, and weakness of muscle, loss of muscle tone, especially calf muscles and foot limb coordination sensitivity. Right, next prevention of using highly polished poly cooking rice absorption method in normally staining from vitamin B2 deficiency. So the vitamin deficiency syndromes like um, vitamins is mainly carbohydrates and proteins, minerals. These are the essential nutrients required from vitamins point of view. Vitamin B2 deficiency. If B2 is deficiency, you become attached to an advocate and intake of vitamin diet, source of tongue and cracking of ankle of the mouth and redness of eye and burning sensation of eye, scalation of skin and the nose and angle lips and scrotal dermatitis. This is in the riboflavin deficiency of this psychomotor development in children impaired among the several B complex vitamins. B deficiency of widespread, particular among the children, women, of course, and deficiency of vitamin two. Good source of vitamin B2 is the milk and milk products, eggs and liver and green leafy vegetables and pellagra. Pellagra is a people living exclusively maize diets were found in developed diseases called as a pellagra. Lesions of the skin, dermatitis, and symmetrical butterfly-shaped patches on the cheeks and found in typically diarrhea, mental changes. Dementia have been also found often diseases like 3D dermatitis, diarrhea, and dementia. 3Ds will come with the help of B12 pellagra diseases. More prevalent in alcoholics and Indian studies have been pathogenesis pellagra in population, substituting the millet jowar and is also deficient of tryptophan, excess amino deficiency of amino acids. Pellagra it will contain. Pellagra is the now deficiency of tryptophan, lysine reduction inside cells of pulses, nuts, and meat. The source of nicotic acid is groundnut is also particularly nicotic acid, although pure rich because of it rich in tryptophan. These are the things vitamin point of view and vitamin deficiency of diseases like pellagra. These are the diseases. Next, one of the vitamin deficiency diseases. Vitamin vitamin C. Vitamin C diseases like scurvy. That scurvy is caused deficiency of vitamin C. You know the ascorbic, also known as the name of suggests that ascorbic acid is the scientific name of vitamin C. This is an impairment of collagen formation of retards wound healing and form fractures. The blood capillaries becomes fragile and hemorrhages occurs. First symptoms of deficiency to be experienced in weakness, fatigue, loss of appetite, swollen and bleeding gums, joints and become swollen and painful, skin become dry and rough, anemia is generally associated with vitamin C deficiency. Scurvy is to be prevented of inclusions of fresh fruits, vegetables in the diet. Sports, grams, cereals contain good amounts of vitamins. Richer source of vitamin C are the green leafy extracts and drumstick, leafy tea, amla, guava, lime, orange juice, vitamin C, heat label, mild acidification, light and tamarind water, lime juice reduces oxidation losses. Next point of view, other vitamin diseases, means, other vitamin diseases, vitamin D. Vitamin D is children characterizing with the pigeon chest, rosary beads, dermatitis, afflicts joint being painful, children extremely irritable, severe sick, rickets leading to tetany and death. Women child bearing age deficiency of vitamin results in decreasing in mineral content, bone and failure of osteoid tissues. The tendency hemolysis and man result in anemia, reproductive failure may result in severe deficiencies. Mineral deficiency diseases. The next point of view will discuss about the bloody vitamin deficiency and also proteins and Erasmus Kavashika. These are the things we'll discuss. Next point of view will discuss about the minerals deficiency. Mineral deficiency and prevention anemia refer to the clinical conditions and varies in formation of hemoglobin, iron deficiency, maturation of pro-erythroblast, example vitamin B12, folic acid deficiency, and depression in destruction of hematopoietic cells, red marrow, effect of toxins and drugs, X-rays, and bone marrow anemia. Broadly divided into three groups: anemia due to nutritional deficiency, deficiency of copper, folic acid, vitamin B12 due to loss of blood, hemorrhage, and destruction of RBC, depression of RBC forming tissues and red marrow due to toxin and exposure to X-rays. Anemia is due to iron deficiency is particularly common reproductive age humans and young children. Hemoglobin surveys in the different areas reveals the 40 to 90% of among the human sufferers anemias, about 10 percentage of severe hemoglobin HP percentage, about the 85 percentage. Enemies encountered among the rural laborers, hard dump tropical regions respond to iron therapy, consequences of iron deficiencies, anemia during the fetal stillbirth, abortions, prematurity, maternal deaths, deletions of deleterious effects of iron deficiency have been earlier than anemia stage. Latent iron deficiency is likely changes in which the placenta, brain, mostly the iron stores have been conception period and adolescent period. Prevent of health consequence of nutrient deficiency. Food sources are preventing iron deficiency. Anemia is given below. These are the deficiency of symptoms of vitamin D and also looking children and ages and hemoglobin percentage also one of the factor will be affected by the anemia conditions. Next minerals point of view we'll discuss about the iron. Hemoglobin means Fe content iron, it will call it as anemia. It's goiter, goiter is also thyroidism, deficiency of iodine. Iodine is relation to thyroid gland is very well. Adult body normally contain 22 million of iodine. Iodine adult in the 8 mg for this amount of concentration in the thyroid gland. Thyroid tissue has properly strong iodine and releases. Thyroid gland tissues are properly storing the iodine and releasing slowly. Some person's life slow down and the iodine reveals the blood is low and the thyroid gland is enlarged. Trap many particles of iodine is possible. Gland enlarges and deficiency of iodine is mainly causes of goiter, hypothyroidism or goiter diseases. The clinical effects of complication, hypothyroidism and criticism, reproductive impairment, and right, hypothyroidism is the concentration of the hormones in advocate and produced in cretinism, reproductive impairment, miscarriages of stillbirths and low birth weight, baby infant mortality. It also lead to child mortality due to impaired deficiency against and against observations attitude on this problem. In India, 150 million people risk for iodine deficiency disease figure to 200 millions of years AD, and it is currently Severe mental retardation, 2.5 million wider neurological defects of recent studies in India. A survey 14 districts of indicate clinical hypothyroidism that 13 percentage of neonates and endemic coitus areas functionally. In Rajasthan, iodine is easily consuming seafood and vegetable grown iodine rich soils, and iodine is administered iodized diets, bread ionized oils, and all been demonstrated have been affected. And these are the things iodine will be get from the main sources of iodine. Anemia, it is deficiency of ferrous, pellagra is amino acids, efficiency of amino acids. Next, marasmus, protein calories, kwashiorkor, it is protein and deficiency of protein. These are the diseases comes from the mainly deficiency and malnutrition and undernourishment conditions. Minerals and vitamins. For example, vitamin point of view, vitamin A, it is night blindness. Vitamin D, it is rickets. Vitamin D, it is something. It is also vitamin D, rickets, and vitamin B1 is very, very diseases. These are the laboratory and nutritional deficiency diseases. Right, food spoilage. These are all things we'll discuss about the food spoilage and the prevention of things we'll discuss in later. Right, objectives and food spoilage and prevention and after going through this unit, you will able to go food spoilage and prevention and preservation. Describe the reasons of spoilage of food and list out the describe the spoilage of decline the food standards and describe the methods of storage of both grains and perishable foods. Rising population income, increasing demands in food, unprecedented rate. For example, country substantial portion of food produced is lost due to spoilage, and there is a sizable gap between the available production and available for consumption. The losses are much more cases vegetable and fruits because they come under punishable fruits and Central Food Technological Institute developed technique for the grain storage and fruit and vegetable preservation. A knowledge of this method will go for long way to avoid food wastages, also make best utilization of available foods and any times of no non-reasons, food spoilage and poisoning and preservations. But food to spoilage, chemical spoiling and biological and microbial bacterial spoiling. These are the methods are involving three types of method of food spoiling. We'll discuss in detail of all the spoiling methods. Chemical poisoning. Chemical food poisoning is caused by the presence of toxic chemical in food. These are the substances may agriculture chemical which use it to intentionally crop productions and wood killers and insecticide essential ensure good yields of however some of these substances may be dangerous if used insecticides and that accumulation of certain metals lead creaming poisoning and toxic chemicals. These substance agriculture chemicals which are intentionally crop production with killers and insecticide ensure that the good yields. However, the some toxic dangerous indiscriminately since the toxic if they are consumed larger quantities. For example, food poisoning from we are using heavy metal poisoning of the accumulation of certain metals like Pb, lead, mercury, Hg, arsenic, and also cadmium, Cd. These are the metals come from the body waste. Mercury, cadmium have been found in fishes taken. Industrial wastes causes of lead poisoning have been arise. The result drinking water has been passed to lead pipes. Outbreak organic mercury poisoning have been occurred in Iraq and Guatemala where farmers who has received the grain seed they treated with organic mercury fungicide and they said this said instead of platinum of them. Occasionally food poisoning is because of chemical accidentally added to food during the preparation. This is nature are rare. Next point of view, biological. Biological food poisoning caused by the eating plant foods containing natural occurring substances harmful. Green potato contain substances called solanine, causes illness and even death if eaten in large quantities. Therefore, green potato should causes illness, even death eaten. So, green potato should always be discarded food containing large amounts of oxalic acid and also kesari dal, which contain natural toxicant BN oxaloamino L-alanine. When contained large quantities affect the lower limbs and lead to stiff gait. Similar soya beans contain trypsin inhibitors and require some processing before they consumed as a food. Microbial, bacterial, food poisoning, hygiene. Our knowledge about foods and preservation storage would incomplete without some understanding of the role microorganisms in the production of spoilage of food. Microorganisms are invisible to naked eye. Our yeast and mold and bacteria, which are resemble plant cells, resembles animal cells, viruses, and also as classified microorganism border between living and matter. They are multiple living cells and can do tissues which called as host tissues. In contrast, bacteria, yeast, and molds have been grown in sugar nutrients conditions of growth of microorganisms. Fortunately, humans most organisms are beneficial, harmless, and non-pathogen. Few, however, the food spoilage and also the human body is also different products and during this growth and some stains and they require it for their growth. Microorganisms require it moisture and optimum temperature survival and growth. The temperature is 30 to 40 degrees favorable for their growth. At their high temperature, they die and low temperature freezing remains inactive but become active again it when exposed to favorable temperature. Foods preserved by freezing should be there free from initial contamination, non-pathogenic and microorganism in foods. Fermented foods such as a curd, wheat, idli contain microorganisms detailed below. Curd, preparation of curd whey preservation of organisms are capable converting lactose milk to lactic acid. Flavor changes, foods and chief changes of separation and acidification facing from milk. Sour taste and curd production of lactic acid. Environmental temperature is responsible for 35 to 40 degrees per hours. And right, these are the different flavors of the curd. Right, bread and these are the things analysis pathogenic organisms and food and spoilage, autolysis, enzyme spoilage and microbial spoilage, prevention, pathogenic microbial and parasitic spoilage. Once cellular structures and food becomes deorganized, food vulnerable to the attacked microorganisms. Microbial contamination is very difficult to prevent in pathogenic organisms are usually derived from food and water. Though direct physical contact NCT is necessary to prevent spread of these harmful microorganisms to the media. Factors and prevention, personal hygiene, washing hands. Washing hands should be frequent and before the streptococcus and the water and soil contamination, food contamination, those pest and control methods. Pests and mice and flies and cockroaches, most common kitchen pests and rats and mice often carry salmonella, other pathogens, their intestine and vesicles organisms. In the air phases, in addition, also the carry bacteria. Right, additionals and dairy management and hygiene means animals carries diseases like tuberculosis, hold at the cow and hands and milking containers must thoroughly cleaned before milking. Milk is a very good medium for good growth and transmission of microorganisms, diphtheria, streptococcus and typhoid and paratyphoid, cholera, dysentery, scarlet fever, and hence milk should be transferred in chilled conditions. Fortunately, practices and boiling milk and universal preservation of milk. Food preservation produces and most type of food stuffs and given the forms of treatment either part of final processing before then the sale and use and is early initial processing prior storage that most concern and food spoilage deterioration usually combination of oxidation process together contamination by microorganisms and insects. Insects will be eat part of contamination which exceeds the saliva and enzymes in general. Insect presence will accelerate the process of delay and majority of food stores of the grains and flours at the time of harvest most cereals and grains moisture content and the region 16 to 20 percentage of grain is stored in this moisture level. Most certain attacked fungi, insects, pests, so it is important they should be dried before storage. But moisture content in 14 to 15% grain storage is not able for fungi. Phytophilus and weevils need 9 to 10 percentage. Different methods of food product preservation commonly in use for given below. Heat treatment. Heat treatment is most important form of the food processing. Affect the food itself very complex and depending on the food and condition of eating. Balancing consists of heating the vegetable briefly, either water or steam, before freezing and drying. Blanching is carried out to destroy the enzymes and watch affect the color, flavor, texture, nutritive product during the subsequent process storage. Blanching is also destroys semi-permeable membranes of cells and expels the gas from their material. Tissues often collapse, they're easier packed into cans. Boiling is the water steam condensing pressures cooker has been high heat transfer capacity of the surface of the temperatures. Food reaches temperatures, water and steam very quickly. Temperatures at the center. So occasionally face change in food which may be affect the heat transfer and but changes this temperatures of food. Right, frying and deep frying, boiling is water, steam and condensed pressure cooker and high heat capacity of surface of temperature. Food reaches temperature and steam very quickly and the temperature at them center of depends on the shape and size per character. Occasionally there are the phases of change with the food with like the heat transfer, but this thought to be small time the temperature of food. See the boiling temperature of the water nutritional losses due to the boiling are extremely variable depending on inter area and volume of cooking water, cooking time, state, different discussions of food, pH availability of oxygen, pressure, cooking requires less time. Water and solution significantly lower than the ordinary boiling. Frying and deep frying and baking. This are process more complicated than boiling in the air because of optimum crust properties must be matched of the optimum characteristic of the interior of the food, traditionally fried and expressed in contact by frying or an oven. Characteristically surface of temperature rises to well above the boiling point of water, while the temperature at the center lakes and the reaches its maximum when the coiling has already begun. Chemical changes occurs both center and the surface of the food. At the surface more pronounced because of the higher temperature. Further chemical changes takes place. Right, the greater reduction in pasteurizations, rapid heating of the rapid cooling process of the microorganism killed by the sport. Generally, time, temperature, treatment depends upon the Western food is treated by the extent neither microbes are able under optimal condition of growth. Heating, cooling are the maximum stress periods of the additional methods of dehydration, salting, addition of chemical inhibitors, food preservation methods, with the preservation with sugar, use of oils and spices, milk process, dried milk, condensed evaporated milk, liquid cream, butter, cheese, food additives, the separating of quality of food additionally submitted. Chilling short terms of preservations, enzyme process, alkalis, and short terms of preservations. Chilling to the area of the meat is stored in 0 degrees to only chilling, controlled atmosphere storage. These are the food standard methods of excellent storage methods and food controlling methods, different types of. Today we are class discussed about the food malnutrition, undernourishment diseases, and also factors affecting controlling and storage of food storage methods. Quality of food also we'll discuss on this method. Additional extra meal matter, addition of water, milk, and volume of addition. Fixing of inferior, affecting of quality of milk and fats and water, and public education is more important to maintain the theoretical logic that samples analysis that right should the public education and the largely country like share nowadays consumer production have been analyzed should make from the merchants try to cheat consumers that's that should student teachers nutritionist municipal authorities speak up that additionally prevent that such type of shopkeepers public should educated and has important role in this directions and serious care this sale should be direct toleration helping consumers. This is the summary of this method. Good health and free from diseases, consumption of nutritional food and food. Thank you so much. Next class will continue tomorrow.